Chapter 13, Plans. The first Saturday after the week of school was sunny and warm, and Alex just wanted to flop on the old couch out on the shady screen porch and read all day long. But that wasn't going to happen. The letter from principal had arrived on Friday, so bright and early Saturday morning. There was a meeting at the kitchen table. His mom points to the letter in front of her. This is a big problem, Alex. Mrs. Vance said she talked with you about your attitude and class participation and what you have to do to improve and what's going to happen if you don't. And your dad and I want to tell us what your plan is. My plan, he said as his little two words came out of his mouth. Alec realized that he had just used the wrong tone of voice. Way too casual. Yes, his dad snapped. Your plan. The plan you're going to put into action so you don't ruin the whole family's summer vacation. That plan. Alex squirmed a little, but he'd been thinking about the principal's letter and this meeting since Tuesday, and he knew what he wanted to say. And also made sure that he sounded just as concerned as his mom and dad were, because he was. Well, I mean, it's not like I have a big checklist or something. Miss Vance said it herself. What I have to do is simple. I have to stop trying to read during class, and I have to pay attention, and I have to do my homework and get good grades on my tests and quizzes. And that's what I'm already doing. I am. It was a pretty good answer. His mom's voice softened. Really? She asked. You're already doing that? Alec had evidence. He pulled out 3 sheets of paper and slid them across the table one at a time. This is a social studies quiz from yesterday, a B+, and this is my first math quiz, 88% correct. And this is my spelling vocabulary test from Language Arts, 35 words, all perfect. And you're seeing me doing my homework every night because I sit there right at the kitchen table. Alec didn't dare try doing his homework in his bedroom. Too many great books up there. His dad turned over a stack of stapled paper, and Alex saw the bold print. And Alex saw the bold print at the top on the top of the sheet. The extended day program. The extended day program, parent and student handbook. His dad cleared his throat. He did that when he was nervous. At dinner the other night, when he told us about starting up an after-school reading club, it sounded good, but that was before we heard from the principal. I looked through this handbook again, and your mom and I want to switch over to the homework room instead of being in the reading thing. You know how we've been concerned about your reading, especially the last 2 years. Books are great, but they shouldn't be like a hideout. You need time for friends and other interests, maybe sports, so let's think about that part too, okay? Then after we see your first term grades, then you can switch back to the reading club or something else back in the gym. And just like always, if your homework is finished, you'll still have time at night for some reading at home. It took every scrap of Alex's self-control to sit in his chair. He wanted to jump out of his feet and shout, "Are you crazy? You want me to go right from a whole day of classes and then spend 3 hours locked up in a silent room with the homework police? I'd go crazy. That would want to drive me completely nuts." And then he thought of Nina, there in the gym with Kent hanging out around her every day. And what about Lily? Who would protect her from the jerks who were going to think she was a loser because she had joined his club? After she'd moved from this table, at Friday afternoon, he'd seen the way those origami club had looked at her. All this flew through Alex's mind in a second. But he knew his mom and dad, if he got mad, they would dig in harder, and the decision would be final. Well, what could he? The edge of an idea hit him. It was a long shot, but he had to try. Looking into his dad's face and then his mom's, You know, in how the Emperor Strikes Back, when Luke has to go to Dagobah for his Jedi training with Yoda? Sorry, I've never watched Star Wars, if that's what it's called. That's kind of that's kind of where I am with this stuff. Mrs. Vance told me what I had to do. She gave me a mission, and I'm doing it exactly the way she said I should, and it's working. I feel like if I went to the homework room for extra help, it would be like sort of like cheating myself. I got myself into this mess, and now I know what I have to do to get myself out of it, and that's what I wanted to do. He paused a moment. Does that make sense to you guys? His mom and dad exchanged a quick look. Then his dad nodded at Alec and said, It does make sense, and I'm proud of you for being serious about this. If someone had been handing out awards in the Spencer family kitchen, Alec would have won three trophies instantly. Best improvisation under pressure, best acting by a child in a bad grades drama, and best Jedi mind trick sense. These aren't the droids you're looking for. Alec thought he was home free. Then his mom said, It makes sense to me, Alec, but I still think you should switch to homework room, maybe just for a month until you're really settled into the routine of putting your studies first. Alec almost started yelling again, and he almost launched into another performance to try and sway the emotions out of his mom and dad. But instead, all that came out was the truth. He looked right into his mom's eyes. I'm already putting my homework first, so making me go into the homework room, that isn't going to help my grades any. It'll just kill my club, which is one place at extended day program where somebody can just sit and read. I know I probably read too much, but a lot of kids hardly get any reading time at all, or time to just sit and think, and that's what this club is about. Al could see he was gaining ground, but he needed something else. So how about we make a weekly grade card? So it can be something like, on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being the best, how did Alex Spencer do with his homework this week? Every Friday I'll get one signed by every teacher, and if I get a score below an 8 in any of my classes, then I'll go to homework room, okay? Again, his mom and dad exchanged looks. His mom said, That sounds fair. We'll make up the forms, and we'll look at your reports each Friday after dinner. We're also going to keep in close contact with Mrs. Vance. His dad added, But if you start getting only 8s on those weekly reports, we'll have to talk about that too. Because you need to be doing your best work. So we should see some 9s and 10s in the mix too, right? Alec nodded. Right. He smiled at his folks, a true smile, not a victory smile. Thanks, he said. I'm really serious about this. And he said that last part, Alec wasn't acting. His parents probably thought he just meant that he was taking his studies seriously, but it was more than that. He had come to losing his place in his own club. And until that moment, he hadn't known how much he cared about it. Sure, it was someone he could read for. Sure, it was somewhere he could read for hours and hours, and he really loved that part. But it was starting to feel bigger than that. For one thing, he felt kind of responsible for Lily now. And there's Nina. He knew that he would have missed seeing her every afternoon. Plus that table in the back corner of the gym, it was the one place at school where he could be his own boss. Just be himself. And no matter what was coming with the club, Alec felt like he had to be there. It was some sort of like when he got pulled into a novel and he had to keep reading and reading. Because that was the only way to find out what was going to happen next. It felt like that, only different. We'll read chapter 14 next time. Bye.